The following program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Finance of America Mortgage LLC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1071, AZBK 0910184. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information. You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Finance of America Mortgage. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 27th show. I am your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I am committed to providing you the knowledge needed to be successful in every area regarding your finances. Knowledge is power, and that's what the show is all about. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but I'm here to answer any questions that you have or connect you with the guests that I have in studio today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And the entire show all today is about Debra Trappen, D11 Consulting. Very excited to have Debra in for the entire show. Normally, for my regular listeners out there, you know I normally have 3 guests in studio, but I just wanted to have a conversation for the hour with Debra. So Debra, thank you so much for joining the entire show with me today.
Oh my goodness, I'm so very excited and honored to be here.
Yes. And we're going to talk about with Debra today is online authenticity, standing out online by truly being yourself. And so excited to have this conversation with Debra today. A little bit about Debra. Debra Trappen is the head of Sassy Moxie at D11. She's founder of the firm, help growth-minded leaders fire up, uncover who they are, and become the best version of themselves. This translates into life, brand, business, culture, and attitude that shine online to attract ideal connections, grow influence, and build a prosperous business that fires you up. A sought-after motivational speaker, trainer, and author, Debra's been spotlighted on platforms, podcasts, and publications. When Debra is not igniting an audience on stage or creating in studio, you will find her wine tasting with her husband from her passion project, Women on Wine, TV, or walking her pubs. Her first book, Fire Up, Taking Your Life and Business to 11, is available on Amazon. Debra, thanks again for joining me for the entire show.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So let's go ahead and start it out with we hear the term authentic a lot when we're talking about online presence, personal brand, and attracting ideal connections and clients. What exactly does that mean, Debra?
I love the word authentic, and I also hate the word authentic because it seems crazy that you have to explain what authentic is. But it's so true. You know, I think in the online space, people believe that others want to see a certain version of themselves. And so, simply put, being authentic online is being who you are offline, online. And I think where people get in, they get in their own way in thinking that I need to be someone else. Yes. That my story isn't interesting, who I am, what I do for a living, where I live, what I love to do for fun. No one else is going to find that interesting. And so they look to emulate others. And so I think a big part of authenticity is actually knowing who you are.
Makes sense.
Not just on the outside, but on the inside. And in past segments, you and I have actually kind of talked about the core 4 just in piecemeal here or there. And that really is the best way for somebody who really wants to go on the journey of first figuring out who they are so that they can be authentic online. That's really where they start.
Got it.
Really understanding that being authentic online is no different than being authentic right here, right now, sitting with you.
And so finding out who you are, your true self, your uniqueness, what you're passionate about, and that's what your core 4 really in the exercise brings people through. And I think it's important, and I like how you explain it, that sometimes even when we're face to face, we haven't connected with who we truly are inside. So it's a really powerful, and then how to communicate that online. So for my listeners, Debra, who have not heard about your core 4 process, can you share that with them today?
You bet. I'd love to. One of the things that you just said that just sparked it for me is that sometimes you actually need to be aware that you aren't aware.
Yes.
And, in the industries that you and I serve and that we're in as independent sales professionals, whether we're talking about real estate agents or mortgage brokers, somebody who does financial advising, or our customers who might be in network marketing industries where they really have to know who they are, I think it's so important to even step back before you even talk about the core four and say, do I know who I am?
Yeah, because majority probably most likely don't to the core.
Correct. And so the first place I always love to take people is their core values. It's the first real chapter in the book where you're digging in and talking about what is it that I value. And there is a process. Values are things you deeply believe are important in the way you live and work.
Sure.
And whether you've defined it or not, you're actually living it. You just might not be living perfectly aligned or even recognize that you are. They ultimately assist you in determining your priorities and how you measure whether your life is successful or not.
Okay.
Which is another reason why it's so important to go there first.
Yes.
Because if not, everyone else's success looks like yours.
Yes.
And so starting there is very, very important. Also, what I find that when your actions actually align to your values, like truly align, that life is smoother. When you're saying yes to the right things that do align with what you value to the core, it feels good. Your yeses feel good and your nos feel confident.
Yeah.
Which we all know that most of us tend to say yes far too often. And if you talk to most of the successful people on the planet, whether their success is determined by money or status or just living the life they want, they say no 90% of the time.
Yeah. But I like what you said, being confident in the no that you say, because a lot of people in questioning, should I be saying no to this? And whether knowing whether you should say yes or no, confident in both sides of it, is knowing what your core four are.
Certainly. Well, your values, here's the thing is when you actually say yes, when you really feel in your gut you should say no, those actions compiled over time lead to things like depression and dissatisfaction in your life. And who wants to feel uneasy walking on this planet? Let's get back in touch with what we truly value.
Or if you say no to something and you're questioning whether or not you should have said no, that emotional attachment to the fact, whereas if you know exactly what you should be saying no and yes to, you can move on to the next.
Absolutely. And I think, most people have never slowed down to define their values. And I think that this is something that we've said this before on the show. It doesn't happen in grade school or high school. And even if it did, we probably would look at our step into, higher education, but we don't slow down. Then, of course, we're in careers and raising, children or puppies or whatever it is that our path is. And one day we go, whoops. So I just encourage anyone who's listening today that if you're thinking, man, it's my turn, I need to do that. There's a super easy exercise to go through. If you just go to debratrappen.com/values exercise, super easy in there. You can always, of course, message me and we'll share that at the end. But if you're thinking, oh my goodness, I need to run and start this now, that is the place to go. And just give yourself that gift.
Yes. So the core four are values.
So the values. So the second one is your soul tank.
Okay.
And I love calling it soul tank. Most people call it your passion, but I find the word passion is so misunderstood. And, people, they hear it and they think one of a couple things, like I'm supposed to live my passion, or passion is, a love or a romantic or a lust feeling and emotion.
Sure.
And so I started using the term soul tank a few years ago because I imagine, like when you close your eyes and you're doing something you love, don't you just feel like you're filling up inside?
Sure, yep,
and so that's what this is. That is defining what at the core you love to do so much that when you're done doing that, you feel so much better. You feel more energized. You feel more positive. You feel like serving others at a level that you didn't before. And, I think the interesting thing is we all have the opportunity to choose soulful moments.
Sure.
To volunteer at the charity we love, to spend time with our children, to color on our own, to do the things that really do feel us. But we're in a society where somehow along the line, taking time for ourselves became selfish.
Yes.
And I think that it's really important, especially those who are servant-hearted in this world, to realize it's actually selfish to not take the time.
Yes.
Because when you're not taking the time to actually fuel that soul tank, to fill it up, you're a cranky pants.
Yeah. Who wants a cranky pants, or who wants to be one?
Right. Who wants to be one, and who wants to be served by one? And so it's, just asking yourself, how do I feel right now? How do I feel in this moment? Do I feel content? Do I feel like that place inside me, that soul tank that I'm talking about is full? Or am I that cranky pants?
And that's why I always say with the balance, you need to have exercises that are taking care of yourself and giving to others. And when you find the balance of those two, that's when you have your true happiness. So, Debra, you have said before that how we live our life's purpose out loud can change. What do you mean by that? Will it still be considered authentic if we're changing our path throughout our life?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because the third of the four soul core four is purpose.
Yes.
And I get this a lot. Let's clarify what purpose actually is.
Okay.
Because I think that's a great place to start, right? Your purpose is what I love to call your tribal talent. It's that piece of you, that talent that you have that comes so naturally, you don't even realize it's your purpose.
Okay.
You think everyone else has it. You think everyone else is right in the thick of it with you. It's what people are asking you for all the time.
So
They're
your
asking for
purpose
help.
could be looked at as your gift as well.
Certainly. I think purpose can be replaced with talent or gift or calling or blessing, depending on where it's coming from. And so understanding that your purpose is actually what you're here for. So that doesn't really change, but how you actually use it can change. Okay. So let me give you an example. Your purpose might be to teach. You might be somebody who loves to teach. So when you're a child, you might be the person who helps your friend. You might help be their tutor or help them do things because you want to teach them how to do it well.
Yes.
When you're an adult, it might be teaching your children, or you actually might find that you become a teacher or a professor, right? So how you're doing it is what's different, and who you're doing it with is different, but your purpose doesn't change. And here's a really important part. A lot of people, when they hear purpose, they think about people like Gandhi or Mother Teresa or Oprah even, right? And they think, I don't have a purpose like that, so how can mine matter? Well, every group of people needs an Oprah.
Yes.
Every group of people needs a Tony Robbins and a Gandhi. And all of our individual little tribes and villages need those as well. So just because yours doesn't look like someone else's doesn't mean it isn't important, and it doesn't mean that it is irrelevant on this planet.
Well, Mother Teresa talks about the ripple effect. It's the small things, small changes that you make combined, compounded, that have the ripple effect.
Right. Well, and that's how perfect, because those first three actually roll into the fourth area, which is your niche.
Yes.
And what's so important about this is going to really help with that authenticity piece, because once you decide who you are by what you value, what you're passionate about, and why you're here, you can actually start saying things like, who do I really want to serve? Who's the ideal person I really want to serve? And that's going to actually help you with your process online becoming authentic, because you're going to have a focus. Also, what problems you love to solve and how you solve them. Those are key elements. And then ultimately how you want to make people feel.
Sure.
Which once you make those statements, who do I want to serve? What problem do I want to solve? How do I want to solve it? And how do I want them to feel? Everything that flows from you feels natural, feels genuine, and then ultimately feels authentic. So all of those areas help you get to the point where voila, you feel authentic.
And I think that's important to really connect with the word feel if you're listening right now, because how you feel and what your body is telling you is not going to be telling you something that's incorrect. So if you just follow what your body's telling you, follow the feeling that feels good. If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel natural, then you know that. So just go in the direction or follow the navigation that our body has, and it'll tell you exactly where your passions, where your strengths, and what you're excited about.
So beautiful. Yes.
So once we have done the personal development work to define our core four, how do we decide what to share?
Well, here's the fun part. Put your goals on paper.
Okay.
We hear that all the time, but seriously, put your goals on paper. If you know what you want to say, what you want to do, and where you're going, it's easier to share a consistent message, thus the authenticity. Do you want to find new clients, better connections with current clients and friends? Do you want to focus on a specific community? And then look over your core 4.
Yes.
You're going to start to see how you can share elements each day that show who you are, that share that authentic person you are, to attract those ideal clients. Because ultimately, say you want to attract ideal clients who want to buy luxury homes. And you love sailing and wine.
Okay.
Those 3 things really match.
Yes.
They pair up. So you can start saying, I'm going to not only share luxury home listings, I'm also going to share when I'm out wine tasting or when I'm at the yacht club or a sailing event, because you're sharing a story that is authentic to you, but also is going to attract others, which is important to keep in mind. We don't just do one thing.
Yes.
So if all you do is talk about work on Facebook, it's a fail.
Yes.
So include everything. Talk about all of those hats. Share with your audience who you are. If you're funny, be funny. Share funny quotes. If you're the serious one in the group, don't share the goofy stuff.
Yes.
Be you.
Be authentic.
Yeah. Above all, just be, really, at the end of the day, be yourself and bring your best self.
Yeah.
It's a great way to be your own coach every day too. It's like, what am I getting ready to share? Is this the best? Is this the best me?
Yeah. So great advice, Debra. Really, think about first finding out who you are, what is your core 4, embracing it. And when you're communicating on the outside, when you're communicating online, and mix it up with the personal and professional, bring it all together. And that's how you can bring your authentic self to both categories.
Exactly.
So coming up next on The Money Hour, I'm going to continue my conversation here with Debra Trappen, D11 Consulting. We're going to continue talking about being your authentic self, how to communicate that online, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
Are you confused about how to hire the right agent? The reality is the agent you hire will have a significant impact on the results that you get in your next real estate transaction. The problem is that most buyers and sellers don't know what questions to ask their agent before they hire them, and sometimes they don't know that they may have made an error until it's too late. The Nicole Magina Group with Windermere Real Estate has proven systems and strategies that allow their clients to consistently achieve their goals in today's market. At the Nicole Magina Group, they've helped hundreds of clients get amazing results in the local real estate market.
Are you a woman in business or a brand that wants to help them figure out how to take their business to the next level? Do you have questions about how to effectively and safely use social media to build your brand and business? Are you ready to live your purpose out loud every single day, but not sure how to make it happen? Are you looking to start a thriving business, uncover new ideal clients, or find your dream job? Have you been trying to put your brand story together, but keep getting stuck? Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is a well-respected expert who speaks, writes, and consults on the topics of personal brand, digital marketing strategies, and living a fired-up life. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting helps entrepreneurs build businesses and lives they love by attracting ideal clients with a solid brand message and simple digital marketing strategies. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is passionate about inspiring entrepreneurs to define their personal brand to build a business and life they love. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is excited to help you get fired up and on your way to building a successful business and life.
This is Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting. To learn more about my firm, connect with me on social media, or sign up for a free consultation, please visit my website, d11consulting.com. Be sure to sign up to Fire Up on my email list, and you will receive a free core values exercise to get you started defining your personal brand and building a life you love. If you prefer email, send me a note at debra@d11consulting.com. Again, to learn more about my services, connect with me on social, or sign up to Fire Up, visit d11consulting.com. I look forward to connecting with you soon.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 27th show, bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events in our local economy and how it can affect your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but I am here to connect you with the guests that I have in studio. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. Continuing my conversation today with Debra Trappen with D11 Consulting. We're talking about online authenticity, standing out online by truly being yourself. Debra, thanks again for hanging out here with me for the entire show today.
My pleasure.
So when you have so many options on where to post online now, does it matter where we share our thoughts and photos to keep it genuine as possible?
This is such an important question. I get a lot. Because there's so many folks out there who teach social media. And as a social media expert, you need to know every platform. You need to know how to use Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And it changes.
Yes.
There's some newfangled something or other that's coming up all the time. And what's important as professionals, as independent sales professionals, is to recognize that there is one, maybe two platforms that you could really excel in.
Okay.
And so find those.
So it's not about being on all of them.
Oh, dear goodness, no. You sell homes, you market homes, you do mortgages, you work with people.
Yes.
Social media is out there to help you keep the conversations going in the in-between time. It's not meant to take over your life.
Got it.
So I always, of course, say, go back to that core four. I love this process because you do this personal development work on the front end, right? You really define those areas and then you get to leverage them all the time. So when it comes to figuring out which social platforms are going to be not only the best fit for you, but that you're going to have fun participating on, in, and with others.
Okay.
You can look to those core four. So for example, if you're someone who's passionate about photography, you are a shutterbug. You take your iPhone with you everywhere. You have, 16 cameras with you. Well, then focus on a photo-centric space like Instagram, right? Where you're doing something that fuels your soul tank while also sharing your story.
Got it.
And then, one of the interesting things, the picture's worth 1,000 words. We've heard that for decades and decades. But the reality is that the pictures worth 1,000 words, and then add some words to it. Okay. Like a quote.
Yeah.
It's a photo you've taken in one of your favorite quotes, which you are well known for, right? Your personal quotes. It takes it to another level. Yeah. And it really connects people. So if you love to hike and you take a picture while you're out hiking and then you put one of your favorite potential quotes on there, you are opening yourself up and you're sharing with people what's important to you.
Great advice.
So think about that. If you love photography, check out a place like Instagram. If you like to write, some people really love to write, but they don't necessarily have a blog. And so they can look to places where you use more words, like Facebook. Facebook has great opportunities to do posts, as do the reality of email campaigns, right? So online doesn't just have to be your social media. It's whatever you're sending out. So you could be somebody who writes more. And what that's going to help you do is it's going to help you share with others that that's something that you're passionate about. And you'll start to see people go, wow, you're such an amazing writer. Yeah. Why don't you write more? And it's just going to fuel you. You may actually like to act. Especially independent sales professionals. They are actors at heart. They like to be on stage. They like to work with people. They like to negotiate. It's like the thrill of the kill. They really enjoy that. Video. 5 letters that have such impact on business these days online. And there is really not a whole lot of ways you can be more authentic than putting yourself out there on video. Yes. Yeah. And so get yourself on video. Get out there. The reality is that when you do show who you are, especially with something like video, they get to know you. I call it the soap opera effect. When I was a child, I used to watch soap operas with my grandma. She'd make me a little piece of toast and a little hot chocolate, and we'd sit there and we'd watch Phoebe. Yeah. making a martini. But my grandma knew Phoebe. Like, Phoebe was her friend.
Sure. Yes.
She knew what was going on in her life because every day she saw this character and she connected to her. So think about how you can leverage that if you're somebody who loves to act.
So a takeaway from this really is, first of all, focusing on minimal, making a decision on which platforms you want to connect in. If it's going to be Facebook or it's going to be Instagram or whatever that is, find a couple. So don't get overwhelmed by all of them. Make a decision if you're going to be more in a writing, or if you're use a lot of your buzzwords or quotes to really connect and continue to connect with your own personal message, your authentic self. And if you're a video person, stick with the video and communicate that way. And also you can, when you're putting something in one space, if you're writing a blog or you're putting something on Facebook, you can use that same message in email and just mix it up a little bit with what you're putting there in images. And so it's less work that way as well.
It is less work. And, you know, if you take it to the next step and you say, well, what's my purpose? Is my purpose to educate or solve problems or inspire people? Then you can actually look at those interactions and say, if I'm to inspire and I love photography, I can take pictures and share inspiring quotes. So you can actually meet your passion or your soul tank fuel along with your purpose while telling that story.
Exactly.
And it's not only helping you share who you are authentically, it's really helping you attract those people you're meant to serve.
And that's huge. I mean, that's a big advice, and why it's so important. It's not, and again, everything is balance. It's not just an importance for you to be able to show who you are, but it's for you to be able to attract the people that need you.
Right.
And so it's benefiting and serving everyone.
Yep.
So Debra, this it sounds amazing. How can people find the courage to be their true selves when being authentic, meaning taking risk or being vulnerable by sharing it all? And I have to say, Debra, that, you know, my book, just gave you a copy of my book, which just came out on Amazon. I'll give a little shout out. If you go to Amazon, Journey with Me, Tina Mitchell, you can get my book on Kindle or paperback. But you were one of the very few people, there was a less than a handful of people that were a true inspiration behind me sharing my message and my story. And so that's really what this question is to everybody that's out there. I mean, how are you taking risks and being vulnerable and really putting it out to the public?
Yes.
Yes.
You are. But guess what? If you don't take risks, you don't get the rewards.
Exactly.
And being vulnerable, I always tell people, here's the reality. Release the stress that you have to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
You are not here to serve the billions of people on this planet. You're here to serve those you're meant to serve. And you have no idea what that number is. Thank goodness we don't know what that number is, because overachievers would be like, we're almost there. Now what? Now what? But, you know, there are champagne people who will leave you when you share beer posts.
Sure.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, just get over it. Because the reality is that the people who comment and engage on your posts are the people you care about.
Yes.
And this is human nature. It's easy for most people to remember all of the negative things that people told us in our lifetimes. You're too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too this, you're too that. We remember those, but we don't remember the thousands and thousands of times somebody told us we looked beautiful or we're so smart.
Yeah.
And the same thing, that's being vulnerable, is all about saying, I am messy. I am a hot mess, and so are you. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's all good.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, I think people are more attracted to that. And so instead of worrying about the people who are going to drop off along the way, start a champions list on your platform of choice. So if you love Facebook, start a list on Facebook and start adding all of the people who support and engage with your posts.
Yes.
Just start creating a little list. Visit it often, you know, take a look, focus on what's going on there. Not on the people who are merely connecting with you to collect you. And those are the people who are easily offended, who leave you because you did one post they didn't agree with.
Yes.
Forget about them. Focus on the ones that do get it, and remind yourself of the difference you're making in those lives.
Yes.
As opposed to the ones that aren't are gone.
Okay, makes sense. So, Debra, I can ask this two different ways, and I will. My first way is I want to connect with you because I mean you're really into wine. I mean, this is a big thing for you, and you've got a community around that, and you really bring it up in everything that you're doing. Well, let's say that you actually become allergic to wine, and so that changes. Or let's say that you lead with something that you thought you were passionate about, and it turned out that you were not passionate about. How do you shift gears when you've given it everything towards, I mean, what if you were allergic to wine tomorrow?
Correct. Or what if somebody dear to me is pregnant or is going through treatment and can't, I'm like, yes, I'll sign on with you. I won't drink wine. I mean, there are seasons in your life. So I think it's really, this question is so overwhelming because so many people here, what you're passionate about is going to change.
Yeah.
And so there may be people that were in my wine community that think, oh my gosh, she's not drinking wine anymore. I have to leave. However, it's likely that along the way we found other things we had in common.
Makes sense.
Whether it was dogs or yoga or, places we like to travel. So your purpose in sharing your passion isn't to just say, this is the only thing I'm going to talk about.
Yes.
And it's okay to also think there's seasons where, for instance, if you were a runner and you talked about running all the time and you were always taking pictures of your tennis shoes and then goodness sakes, you pull or break or something, a part of your body that's required for running.
Yes.
What then?
Yeah.
Well, you shift gears and you may find something else that you love. You may turn to writing.
Yeah.
You may love writing instead. And you think, wow, I really want to spend my time talking about that. I think that it's just about sharing that journey too. I used to love this. I found peace and quiet in this. I'm shifting gears.
And now I've got to shift. Yes.
And allowing the people who, again, may or may not, the people who loved running may also be interested in reading or writing or whatever it is you're going.
And if they're not, I'm hearing you say it really is just disconnecting and not being attached to what is not and being attached to what is at that moment, at that season that you're in and the journey that you're supposed to be on, and not worry about anything else except for being your authentic self.
Amen. Yes.
So online sharing is filled with posts, what we're doing, where we're going, what we're trying to achieve. So, Debra, how do you share authentic personal experiences on options with either quietly passing or blatantly receiving judgment?
Yeah, this is a question I get a whole lot as well, not only from clients, but just from my community. Mm-hmm. And in our online world, sometimes it seems like it's a big show. It does seem like it's a big show. Everyone's sharing their highlight reels. Everybody looks good and they're thriving in their business and they're creating FOMO, fear of missing out. Or I even say they're creating the fear of being judged, FOBJ, right? Because we're thinking, oh my gosh, this isn't me. I'm not doing that. And I think how you share without showing off or trying to appear self-important is important because, well, it is ideal for you. And, being authentic and living authentically and sharing your personal story, it's also important for others to be part of that conversation. And what I mean there is let others tell your story. This is particularly important if you use social media for personal and business.
Okay.
And you're looking to build credibility and a strong reputation online. So when you're talking about mixing things up, and trying to be authentic in that, it's don't talk about yourself every single post.
Yes.
Right? Don't talk about you, me. You wouldn't do that at a dinner party.
Yes.
So why do you do it
Well, you would
online?
hope not, or think about the person that does do that at the dinner party.
Totally.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. You can actually share who you are and what you genuinely and authentically love by sharing other people's wins and successes and stories.
So again, have the balance of, what you're sharing personally, what you're sharing professionally, bring those together, have a balance of what you're sharing about yourself and being able to connect other people and their stories as well, and finding that balance of how you're communicating all of that online together.
Correct.
So before we take it to commercial, Debra, I want to talk about, that we've shared authentically, sharing your story online. So how do you really connect on a meaningful way with others while online?
Well, this is a big one. The first is just decide who you want to connect with and find them.
Okay. Right. Good point.
It's just,
so strategically
right.
Decide who. Yes.
Right. Look to your niche statement. Find those people you said you wanted to focus on. Mm-hmm. The next is let yourself be vulnerable, right? Yeah. We talked about, what happens when I do, but let yourself really share what's going on. People connect more to that than your highlight reel. It doesn't have to be all the time. I don't want you to go out. I'm not trying to tell everyone to go out there and post all of the problems in their lives.
Yes.
But sharing that every once in a while, here, I need some advice is really important. It allows people to see the whole you and connect and become attracted to you, which is what we ultimately want. And then third, I'd say, is ask for what you want. Here's the thing is especially as salespeople, we're worried about sell. We don't want people to think we're selling. Well, it's not always about selling. Sometimes you just need help.
Yes.
Right? And asking for what you want and being direct, whether it's advice or help promoting a blog post or a photo, whatever it is, people want direct interaction with you. If they want to help you.
Yes.
Most of your friends want to help you. So ask them.
And I love the fact that you've said help like 5 or 6 times, because I always, in my coaching program for One Time in Your Business, it's in talking about how you're communicating. If you want to look at it as scripting, it's just being prepared up front of how you're delivering a message. But using the word help is important, because just like you said, people want to help you. Your friends want to help you. And so asking for it in that way, I need your help, is powerful, and it's going to help connect on an emotional level. And that's really what it's all about, how we're communicating our message on an emotional level to connect, right?
Perfect.
Coming up next in the Money Hour, how to truly be yourself and show your authentic self while online. Going to continue my conversation with Debra Trappen with D11 Consulting right here at 11:50 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
Are you a woman in business or a brand that wants to help them figure out how to take their business to the next level? Do you have questions about how to effectively and safely use social media to build your brand and business? Are you ready to live your purpose out loud every single day, but not sure how to make it happen? Are you looking to start a thriving business, uncover new ideal clients, or find your dream job? Have you been trying to put your brand story together, but keep getting stuck? Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is a well-respected expert who speaks, writes, and consults on the topics of personal brand, digital marketing strategies, and living a fired-up life. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting helps entrepreneurs build businesses and lives they love by attracting ideal clients with a solid brand message and simple digital marketing strategies. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is passionate about inspiring entrepreneurs to define their personal brand to build a business and life they love. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is excited to help you get fired up and on your way to building a successful business and life.
This is Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting. To learn more about my firm, connect with me on social media, or sign up for a free consultation, please visit my website, d11consulting.com. Be sure to sign up to Fire Up on my email list, and you will receive a free core values exercise to get you started defining your personal brand and building a life you love. If you prefer email, send me a note at debra@d11consulting.com. Again, to learn more about my services, connect with me on social, or sign up to Fire Up, visit d11consulting.com. I look forward to connecting with you soon.
As a real estate broker, are you tired of belonging to an office where your designated broker doesn't have time for you? Kelsey Diller, designated broker with City Closers Real Estate, personally meets individually with the brokers to coach their business development and gives out leads. How would you like to make more sales and take your business to the next level this year?
If you're ready to be considered for joining the winning team at City Closers, call me, Kelsey Diller, today at 206-554-1622 or visit us online at cityclosers.com.
Kelsey Diller is a licensed real estate broker in the state of Washington, owner and designated broker of City Closers, LLC, located in downtown Seattle.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 27th show. It's a great day to talk about money. That's why I'm here. That's what the show is all about, how to make money, save money, and have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're hearing my show at a different time, you are listening to a broadcast. You can talk with my guest in studio by calling the show at 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. Continuing my conversation with Debra Trappen with D11 Consulting. And we're talking about being your authentic self, being able to communicate that online, and starting from the very beginning step of really connecting and determining who your authentic self really is. So, Debra, we know that trust is a big factor of being authentic and being able to attract others that are authentic as well. So can you share some tips on how to build that trust online?
You bet. The first tip is be reachable. And what I mean by reachable is, can people easily contact or connect with you? Mm-hmm. This is one of the first places that I go when people are saying to me, like, I don't feel like I'm getting the response from my community. In other words, they're not calling me. Yes. They're not wanting to do business with me. I always go and look, is it easy to get in touch with you? So give yourself a quick audit. Go check your website out. Mm-hmm. Go there and see how easy is it to actually contact me.
Yes.
It seems so basic to us that we can actually overlook that on our own websites.
Yeah, interesting.
The same on Facebook. So there's billions of people on Facebook, and most of the buying demographic is there right now. So go to your About section on your Facebook timeline and look, do you have a number people can reach?
Okay.
If you don't want to give your personal cell phone number, that's fine. You can get a free Google Voice number. It's super duper easy.
Great advice. Yes.
So put a phone number on there so people who want to call you can call you.
Yes.
And make sure there's an email address there. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more frustrating than thinking, oh, I really want to get in touch with that person, but you have no idea.
Exactly.
Especially if it's John Smith. You know, you're never going to get in touch with them. So give yourself that out. Be reachable and really make sure that the info out there is the info you want people to see and use.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second one is be responsive, which is another biggie, right? So you have your phone number or your email out there. Well, check it.
Okay.
Respond to people.
Yes.
And again, these things seem so basic, but when you're telling people, I want to connect with you, I want to do business with you, I want to share life and do life with you, and then they reach out and you give them crickets.
Yes.
It defeats the purpose.
You're better off not doing anything at all. And especially if you're doing it at the level that we're talking about today and sharing that authentic you.
Correct.
You have to be at a higher level of how you're responding back.
Correct. I was at an auction for children a few months ago, and the woman who was speaking said, you know, we all have a basic need to be seen, heard, and loved every day.
Yeah, of course.
And social media allows us to do that for others.
Yeah.
So when someone asks you a question, answer it.
Yes.
You know, when someone leaves a comment, thank them for it.
Yeah.
Put a little like up there.
Yeah.
Do something. If someone complains, address it.
Yes. So if listening to you, Debra, and this is so important because in kind of a little aha moment maybe for some of us, now online is communicating just like face-to-face. So think about how it would be face-to-face if you were ignoring or not acknowledging somebody when they said hello to you, just walk past them.
Right.
I mean, really, that's what we're talking about here if you're not responding online.
Correct.
Because there's so much of online communication happening.
Absolutely. It's that in-between time. It keeps the relationship warm and connected. And here's the thing. There may come a time when you are a successful household name like Tony Robbins. And people don't expect you to respond to every single comment. But until you reach that point, get your tushy on social and interact.
Awesome. Love it. Love it.
The last one in this kind of first round is be consistent.
Yes.
Consistency wins every single time. It's not what we do every once in a while that shapes our life.
Yes.
It's what we do consistently. Yeah. And we see this in every aspect of our lives, whether it's how we eat or sleeping habits or exercise habits. Same goes for social. So although there are times where we need a digital holiday, where we need to just be able to turn off our electric umbilical cords and say, I'm going on holiday. What I don't want to see is you walking away from your audience and not letting them know.
Got it.
So don't leave for a week or 2 or a month from interacting with your social connections and expect them to be there when you get back.
Got it.
And it doesn't have to just be you, right?
Yep.
Be open with your community. Say, I'm taking a break. I have my assistant will be here to answer your questions and, keep the conversation going. If you don't have an assistant, you can hire a virtual assistant to do 15 minutes a day, checking in on your social platforms and keep that connection, because that'll allow you to avoid the burnout.
Yes.
While taking time to recharge and not losing the connection or the loyalty of that community that you've built, whether it's over months or years.
Yeah.
So be consistent.
So, Debra, we've talked about your advice in being reachable, being responsive, and being consistent. Now, sometimes people make mistakes. They do things backwards. They do it completely wrong, and they just have missed the mark here. How do they rebuild that trust if they've lost it?
What?
There's got to be
mistakes. Oh my goodness. This goes back to vulnerability. Here's the thing. We are human and we make mistakes. And sometimes it's small ones and sometimes it's big ones.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate message that I want to leave everyone with is it's okay. I actually had an incident about a month and a half ago where my assistant and I were going back and forth on the next email that was going out to my audience. And we both looked at it. We both said, this looks amazing. And then it went out and said, happy 11th on like the 23rd.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Oh, no.
And it was like, well, we have an 11th state of mind around here. We went back and said, sorry about that.
Yes.
We're human. Whoops, it's not a robot doing this job.
Yes.
So, we did
and
fail.
Sometimes those mistakes can turn out to be better that they happen because of how you reacted to that. Yes.
And I think that's, own it, apologize for it. If it deserves an apology, apologize for it, and then just work to be better.
Yeah.
There were probably a few people that fell off the radar because they thought, oh, rude, she sent something that said the 11th. But the reality is, I don't want those people in my life.
Exactly.
I want them out because I love failure.
Yeah.
I think failure is where the lessons and the growth is.
Yeah.
And we fail much more often than we do succeed if we're trying and risking and taking leaps forward. And so I want the people who are like, that was funny.
Yes.
Like, 11th state of mind. Way to spin it, Trappen. Those were the fun conversations, right? And so, focusing on that is important. And then spotlighting, I think this is really important too. Spotlight the kudos that you get.
Okay.
And comment on critics.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you have systems in place in your business and for the real estate agents that you work with that use your programs that collect reviews and ratings. Share those. That's someone else saying, here's the story of my experience with Tina.
Yes.
So how are you really leveraging those stories? So share those and really let the world into that side of you, because the reality is that they're not always going to be perfect, which leads to that comment on critics.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So how do you address those?
Well, don't ignore them.
Yes.
I mean, first and foremost, again, if we're going back to that place where we're looking for moments to be vulnerable, where we're looking for moments, as my friend Kelly says, to open the kimono.
Yes.
And say, yes, I am not perfect. I have lumps and bumps, and I'm a work in progress. To say, you're right. I didn't call you back when I should have, or whatever, own up to it. Now, there will be online trolls who are just negative, and won't find anything positive in working with you. And there's really nothing you could say because it really was just life getting in the way, right? It's okay. Like, let those stay, because the reality is that the people who know those people and the people who are trusting in those people know those people are negative by nature. And so they'll take those reviews with a grain of salt. Whenever I'm on even a platform like Yelp and I go and I think, I'm really looking for a great sushi place in a new city, I'll look at the reviews. And if it's a really negative one, I'll go to that person's profile and look and see are there all of them? Yeah. Well, they're just a cranky pants.
Yeah.
They need to fuel that soul tank, so I'll pay attention to that. I'm using it. I'm really using it. I'm not just flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah. So Debra, I like the concept of earning trust, owning mistakes, and sharing your wins. All important. Are there any additional ways to build trust online?
Absolutely. And, I've really seen you actually do this with your reflection community.
Reflection challenge.
Yeah, the challenge. And so cultivating a connected community is one of the best ways to build trust, because not only are you creating a safe place for people to come and have conversation and to be inspired or to reflect, and they're taking a challenge on your Facebook group, right?
Sure.
It's here's what you can do every day. Some days it might connect to me. Some months, day 23 might.
Yes.
And some months, day 23 won't.
Yes.
But that's okay, because it's a place for me to go and think, I need something. And I think I'm going to be able to get it in that community. And, the reality with creating connected communities online is things aren't always going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I have a great example of this. So I am the moderator and the admin for a group of women who are in powerful positions across multiple industries. And we had a breach of trust in this group. And it was pretty devastating to a lot of the women in the group who thought, wow, I thought this was a place where I could come and share.
Okay.
And it was sacred.
Yes.
Which really is what it is. It is a sacred place. But the reality is that when you are talking about human beings in conversations anywhere, things are going to happen like that.
Sure.
So when you can create a conversation, you can create a place on a social channel that allows you to find people who have like-minded interests. It allows you to have the good and the bad conversations. And I'll speak to when you do have those situations where it gets a little bumpy, we're on the other side of that now in this group, and it's stronger and healthier than ever.
Yeah.
Because the people who breached opted out.
Yes.
And there may be one or two that are still in there that haven't called themselves out, but they learned a lesson about creating a trusting space.
Yeah.
And so I think it's okay to have mistakes there too.
Sure.
When you're talking about human beings being together, sharing their stories, sharing their opinions, which, my Grammy always says, opinions are like butts. Everyone has them and everyone else's stinks. Yeah. So it's one of those things where you're going to have conflict in a community. As you're building trust, it's just about being as true to yourself as you can be.
Yeah.
And also when you have a community like that, where you're trying to create that trusting space where people can have those conversations, don't always respond right away.
Give it some time to think, of course.
It's so important. When you're building trust, you want to bring your best words forward. And so stepping away from your phone or your laptop and just thinking, how do I really want to respond to this? This community that I'm nurturing.
Sure.
How do I want to help them? How do I want to help them through whatever this question or challenge that we're facing is now? And really getting to the heart of it. So taking the time to actually put together an answer that's going to make the most sense for them is really quite key.
So Debra, it's time to wrap up the show here with you. And I want to end with final tips and tools that you can share with my listeners.
Sure. From the authentic side of things, go through the core values exercise.
Yes.
That's the tool right there. That'll get you going. Visit the website and you can read through the rest of the core four there. You can buy the book. Those are great tools. the end result is just getting to the core of who you are. Do yourself the favor of defining yourself.
Yes.
And designing yourself.
Love that.
Because you may not
define and design.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like we're work in progress.
Yeah.
So there may be a value that you've got or a passion that you have that you haven't realized yet. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's such beauty in the intentional designing of our lives.
Well, and I think none of us have realized we're constantly getting closer and closer to our authentic self if we take the time to do that. So
Absolutely.
Deborah, how can they go through? Will you shout out your website for my listeners, how to connect and go through the Core 4?
You bet. The website's debratrappen.com. That's DebraTrappen.com. And they can actually just search any of the individual core for the values, passions, purpose, or niche on the site. They could also just email me at Debra@DebraTrappen.com, and I'm happy to get them started on that journey. You know, the last thing I want to leave everyone with is be interested in others. One of the most simple ways to start your journey of being authentic online is to just truly be interested in others.
Yes.
And you've got this beautiful Core 4 designed for yourself. Mm-hmm. Now go find other like-minded spirits and just be interested in what they're doing. It will flow from you so naturally once you start surrounding yourself with champions who share your values or are aligned with those things. It sounds like it's big, but really this is a very simple process that just takes thought.
What's big and overwhelming is when you're not connecting to your authentic self, when you're trying to find that and figure yourself out. Once you're there, just as Debra says, then life becomes easy. So I encourage all of you, my listeners, connect with Debra, be a part of her community, and wake up every morning, take a look at what she's got going on and how she's sharing with her community, and it really inspires you to be the best person that you are and be your authentic self. And on that note, Debra, I want to say thank you for what you've personally done for me in my life, and just a real pleasure to have you here for the entire show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been so wonderful.
And this is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I look forward to speaking with you again next weekend right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
The preceding program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Finance of America Mortgage LLC, equal housing lender, NMLS 1071, AZBK 0910184. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information.